Sad news. We learned this morning of the passing of former Labor leader and union boss Simon Crean. Now, I've interviewed Simon many times. He was an old-fashioned politician in my view, and more's the pity we don't have many more like Simon Crean these days. Now, politics back when he was leader and you had John Howard as the Prime Minister, I remember sitting down with Simon Crean for an interview in Bali. It was a year after the terror attack, and we were all there to remember those Australians who perished at the hands of those nightclub bombs. Simon Crean never really had a chance to go to a federal election, with Labor instead choosing, and can you believe this, Mark Latham to fight an election against John Howard. And you'd have to say, and I think Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, called that a dumb decision today. Look, Simon Crean was a senior Labor figure in the days of state politicians, particularly in places like Victoria, Steve Bracks and John Brumby. You'd imagine a state funeral will be held for Simon Crean, as it should. Back to the politics of today, though, and The Voice. Now, support continues to tumble, according to a Newspoll in the Australian newspaper today, with just Victoria and New South Wales, the only states now ticking the yes box, meaning the referendum on these numbers has simply got no hope of getting up. Now, the risk for the Prime Minister, and I think it's a real risk, a big risk, the risk for the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is now potentially career-ending. I don't want to overstate that, but the PM has tied his entire Prime Ministership to this outcome. He started saying now, though, that the vote is up to the Australian people.
The ballot is not this Saturday. We're going to explain what it's about. We'll continue to do so. This is now over to the Australian people, and we will be campaigning. My view is very clear that what this is about is constitutional recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, but also about consulting them on matters that affect them so as to get better results.
You can see from that media conference he's trying to be very calm, talk very sensibly about where this is going. But isn't that a strange way to put it, that it's up to the Australian people? Of course the referendum is up to the Australian people. It lives or dies at the hands of the Australian people. And I think the Prime Minister might now be regretting that he hasn't tried harder to get some sort of bipartisanship from the coalition, as hard as that may be. He's made the whole argument, he should have made the whole argument simpler, and he might even now have to walk away from the more emotional arguments that he has tried to prosecute. Now, the wild scenes we witnessed all those months ago in Alice Springs, and I presume they're still going on, has certainly not helped him, because many Australians, myself included, don't believe that The Voice is going to do anything to help those little children in Alice Springs to escape the violence, the domestic violence and the alcohol. And the Prime Minister's brief 3-hour drop-in and get out of there visit didn't help either. Look, I'll talk with No campaigner Warren Mundine about that in just a moment. But if things continue to head in this direction, the pressure to delay, change, or even dump this referendum will continue to grow.